Hello, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. And you know, at this stage in my life, I've learned that...
Kamusta mga kapong Pinoy? Surprise! Excited na akong imbitahin kayong lahat na manood sa mga
tears, trophies, and the moment that changed everything marked Alex's battle for her family and her glory. What happens when a 20-year-old girl carrying the dreams of an entire nation finally snaps? When the cameras are rolling, the lights blinding, and years of silent sacrifice demand to be heard, Alex Eala stopped being the polite tennis prodigy everyone expected and became something far more powerful. She became real. It happened on a day and in a room so tense you could hear a pin drop. The scene was a press conference no one would ever forget. This was not a typical post-match interview with rehearsed answers and diplomatic smiles. This was raw and personal. Sitting at the center of a media storm, Alex looked different, not the exhausted kind of different that comes after a brutal match, but something deeper, something unforgettable. After a grueling 3-set battle under the Australian sun, something deeper weighed on Alex. This was not mere physical exhaustion, it was the profound weariness of someone who had carried the hopes of 115 million Filipino hearts on her shoulders since before she could even tie her own shoelaces. The fatigue in her eyes told a story that statistics and rankings could never capture. She faced CES Dryland and a room full of journalists who had spent weeks dissecting every part of her life or game, her choices, her family, everything fair game for public consumption and critique. The scrutiny had become relentless, invasive, suffocating. And in that moment, something shifted. It was visible in the way she gripped the table, audible in the shuddering breath through her chest. Tears threatened to break free, her composure hanging by the thinnest of threads, and then she spoke 7 words that detonated across the internet and silenced every critic in the room. So, please leave my family alone. Her words were not angry, theatrical, or calculated. They were raw, real, and unshakably human. It wasn't theatrics or performance, it was a plea from the depths of her heart, a desperate shield raised to protect the people who had dismantled their entire lives so she could chase a dream that once seemed impossible. In that electrifying moment, as spontaneous applause erupted from the stunned audience, we witnessed a transformation. This wasn't just a tennis player defending her ranking or her style of play. This was a daughter, fierce and unbreakable, standing guard over a father who had sacrificed everything. Too often, people forget that behind the forehands, backhands, and tournament draws lies a deeper truth. To truly understand why Alex Eala stands where she is today, holding prestigious trophies and preparing for her main draw debut at one of tennis's most iconic Grand Slams, you have to grasp the cost. You have to look past the highlight reels and victory celebrations to see the invisible scars that mark her journey. During that emotional interview, Alex recalled a memory that still cuts deeply, a memory that shaped everything. She spoke of her father, Mike Eala, and the magnitude of what he had given up, a swimmer with his own dreams, potential, and ambitions so that hers could flourish. Mike Eala had a future mapped out, but when he saw the spark in his daughter's eyes as she held a tennis racket, when he witnessed her raw talent and hunger, he made a decision that would alter the trajectory of multiple lives. Without hesitation, he abandoned his swimming career, packed up their entire family, and relocated them to a foreign country thousands of miles from everything familiar. He left behind his identity, his community, his comfort zone, and his homeland, all to fuel the dream of a little girl wielding a racket comically too big for her tiny hands. This wasn't a calculated investment seeking fame or fortune. He did it because he believed in her when she was nobody, when the odds were impossibly stacked against them, and all they had was faith and determination. My family has given up everything so I could become who I am today, Alex said, her voice cracking under the weight of emotion, her eyes blazing with fierce, protective love. It was a powerful reminder that needs to be shouted from the rooftops. Behind every perfectly executed forehand, behind every trophy lifted, lies sacrifice few ever see. Triumphantly overhead, behind every ranking milestone, every forehand winner, there is a family that bled for it, a family that sacrificed their own dreams, comforts, and normalcy so that one person could reach for the stars. Now, armed with that burning fire and unshakable protective love for the people who made her possible, Alex Eala isn't just playing tennis anymore, she's on an absolute warpath. Fast forward to Friday, January 16, 2026. The tears from that viral interview have dried, the raw vulnerability transformed into something that looks a lot like steel wrapped in determination. We find ourselves at the Kuang Classic in Melbourne, a venue steeped in tradition and regarded by tennis historians as the spiritual home of Australian tennis. Those critics who smugly questioned her mental toughness after the emotional press conference, wondering if she was too soft, too emotional, too fragile for the brutal world of professional tennis, have gone remarkably silent. And the reason is simple and undeniable. Alex Eala just lifted the Yvonne Goolagong Key trophy high above her head. Some might try to diminish the achievement, noting that the Kuang Classic is technically an exhibition tournament, but don't say that to Alex. And absolutely do not say it to Donna Vake, the Paris Olympic silver medalist, who just Donna Vake experienced what can only be described as an Eala masterclass in modern tennis. This wasn't a victory to pad the win column, a participation trophy, or a lucky break. This was a declaration of arrival. Eala systematically dismantled a world-class opponent with ruthless efficiency and tactical brilliance that screamed one thing: she is Grand Slam ready. The prestige of the Kuang Classic cannot be overstated. This invitation-only event doesn't allow players to simply fill out an entry form. Participants are handpicked as elite competitors worthy of these hallowed courts. Eala didn't just participate, she dominated the entire field, earning nods of respect from spectators and fellow players alike. When she hoisted the trophy bearing the name of the legendary 7-time Grand Slam champion Yvonne Goolagong, it felt less like a conclusion and more like a prophecy beginning to unfold. This victory capped a build-up that had been years in the making. The Australian Open has been nothing short of spectacular for Alex Eala, a momentum surge that has the tennis world taking notice. It feels great. I'm super excited, Eala told the gathered press afterward, the ghost of that emotional breakdown replaced entirely by the radiant glow of hard-earned victory. Coming in as a main draw player gives a different vibe, especially with the struggles I had in the past coming here. So, I'm super excited to come here in full force. Full force, let those words hang in the air. That's not just confidence, that's a warning shot fired across the bow of the women's tennis tour. Let's talk numbers. Eala has won 4 of her last 5 matches. 4 out of 5. This isn't a hot streak or a fortunate draw, this is a player operating at the absolute peak of her powers, playing the best tennis of her life. Just weeks ago, she tore through the competition at the ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand, cutting through opponents with precision and purpose, storming all the way into the semi-finals. Her only loss came against China's Wang Senu in a razor-thin match that could have swung either way on just a handful of crucial points. That run through Auckland wasn't some miraculous fluke or the work of the tennis gods, it was the result of relentless focus, preparation, and unshakable belief in herself. The glow from Auckland stayed with Alex Eala for a week, a reminder that she had established a new standard, a new baseline for what she brings to the court. The impact of that performance rippled immediately through the rankings, propelling her to a career-high world number 49. Let that sink in, top 50 in the world. The same girl who once battled through grueling Grand Slam qualifying rounds facing oppressive heat, swirling winds, questionable line calls, and the crushing anonymity of outer courts where only the most dedicated fans venture is now walking confidently through the front door of tennis's biggest stages. No more qualifiers, no more grinding through 3 matches just to earn the right to fall in the first round. No more maybes or almosts. She is in the main draw on merit and she belongs there. Getting matches always helps before slams, Eala admitted with refreshing honesty, discussing her Auckland and Kuang runs. So, I'm confident with how I'm playing. It doesn't mean matches aren't going to be tough here. So, I'm ready for them. Alex Eala better be ready, because the Australian Open draw has delivered a fascinating and challenging first-round matchup. Standing between her and the second round is the American firepower of Alicia Parks, and this promises to be an absolute battle. This clash represents a genuine meeting of contrasting styles that tennis fans cannot afford to miss. Parks, currently ranked number 100 in the world, should not be underestimated for a second. She is legitimately dangerous, a powerhouse built on explosive athleticism and aggressive ball striking. She reached a career-high ranking of number 40 in 2023 and proved her mettle by advancing to the 3rd round of this very tournament in 2024. Her biggest weapon is one of the most fearsome serves on the women's tour, capable of literally taking the racket out of an opponent's hands if they aren't perfectly prepared and positioned. Eala will need to be sharp from the very first point, deploying every tool in her increasingly sophisticated arsenal. Her lefty spin that frustrates opponents, exceptional court craft honed at the Rafa Nadal Academy, tactical intelligence that allows her to construct points like a chess master, and above all, the newfound mental toughness and grit revealed to the world in that tearful but powerful press conference. If Parks is the hammer, coming at you with raw power, Eala must be the sword, precise, quick, and intelligent, slicing through the force with angles and movement. Even if she navigates the Parks barrage successfully, the path forward remains formidable. Potentially awaiting in the second round is world number 19 Karolina Machova of the Czech Republic, a former Grand Slam finalist with a complete, silky game capable of hurting you in multiple ways, or the gritty Romanian Jacqueline Christian, who never yields an inch and makes every point a battle. Yet, when you watch Ella practice, see the look in her eyes, and hear the conviction in her voice, it becomes clear. She doesn't care who stands across the net. She isn't intimidated by names, rankings, or past achievements. She is playing for something far bigger. Alex Eala is playing for something that transcends rankings and prize money. She is playing for the family she defended with tears streaming down her face and fire in her heart. And when she steps onto the court at Melbourne Park, she absolutely will not be alone. The stadium is about to transform into what fans are already calling Manila South, and the atmosphere will be electric. The Filipino community in Australia is legendary, world-renowned for their passionate and unwavering support of their athletes, and Alex Eala is their undisputed queen, their pride and joy. The turnout this year has grown significantly, and Ella's face lights up with genuine joy and appreciation when discussing it. "I'm just so happy to see this environment, and people are excited when I'm on court." That energy has the power to lift a player beyond what they thought possible. Imagine the scene, Ella fighting tooth and nail for every point, those 7 words from her press conference echoing in her mind like a mantra of purpose and motivation. Thousands of Filipinos dressed in red, blue, and yellow, the colors of their flag, chant her name in unison until the stadium shakes. The ghosts of past struggles and heartbreaks fade with every clean winner she strikes, every perfectly executed shot reinforcing her unshakable resolve. Nothing is impossible for Alex Eala. She tracks down every point and refuses to concede, leaving everything on the court. But the story doesn't end with the Australian Open. Far from it, this is just the explosive beginning of what promises to be a breakthrough 2026 season. While she hunts for Grand Slam glory under the harsh Australian sun, she has already confirmed news that has Filipino tennis fans buzzing. A massive homecoming is on the horizon. Ella is penciled in as a wild card entry for the Philippine Women's Open, the first ever WTA 125 event to be held in her home country, running from January 26th to 31st. The significance cannot be overstated. 4 years, Ella has been the ultimate road warrior, a nomad of the tennis circuit, fighting battles in far-flung corners of Europe, grinding through American hard courts, and competing across Oceania, always representing the Philippines, but rarely playing there. Now, after all those sacrifices, all those miles logged in airports and hotels, she will finally bring her game home, to the fans and the country she has carried in her heart from the very beginning. Finally, Alex Eala gets to bring the WTA Tour to her own backyard, to the people who have supported her from the very beginning. "I'm happy that it's finally coming together. It's really happening," she said, pride swelling in her voice, emotion barely contained. "It's a dream to have a home tournament and just the WTA stage in general. I think it's a huge step for tennis in the Philippines and women's tennis, especially since I know some friends who are going to play there. I'm so happy that it'll bring a lot of inspiration and motivation for the girls back home. This is about legacy. This is about opening doors that were previously locked. It's about young Filipino girls picking up a tennis racket and realizing that the impossible is possible, that Grand Slams and WTA titles aren't just for kids from Florida, France, or Russia, but that they can come from Manila, from Quezon City, from anywhere someone is willing to dream big and work harder. From the tears of a daughter fiercely defending her father's incredible sacrifice to the triumph of a champion lifting prestigious trophies on the world stage in Melbourne, Alex Eala has transformed before our very eyes. This isn't gradual evolution anymore, this is a meteoric rise, unstoppable and awe-inspiring. This is metamorphosis. Alex Eala is no longer just a promising prospect whispered about by tennis experts. She is no longer potential waiting to be unlocked, she is a legitimate contender right now. She is a warrior, forged in the fires of sacrifice, expectation, and criticism. As she prepares to step onto the iconic blue hard courts of the Australian Open, lacing up her shoes, gripping her racket, and walking through that tunnel onto center court, she carries a message for anyone who dares stand in her way or think of coming after her family again. That message is simple, direct, and absolutely serious. She is ready. Ready for the challenge, ready for the pressure, ready for the moment. The Australian Open 2026 will feature established champions and rising stars from around the globe, but make no mistake, this is the season of Alex Eala. The tears have been shed, the sacrifices made, and the preparation complete. Now comes the reckoning. Do not blink, because you might miss history. Do not look away, because this young woman from the Philippines is about to show the tennis world exactly what happens when talent meets opportunity and unshakable purpose. Her powerful and emotional interview reminded everyone why she deserves respect and why family comes first. The million-dollar question: Can she defeat the big-serving, dangerous Alicia Parks in that crucial first-round matchup? Tennis fans, predictions, thoughts, and takes are welcome. But one thing is clear: Alex Eala is ready to carve her name into the sport.
Hello, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. And you know, at this stage in my life, I've learned that
Excited about the games?
Oh, excited naman, syempre. Ang haba ng biyahe. Walang Spain, but I'm so excited to be here.